is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our first alert storm team has called for a first alert weather day because of several dangerous weather conditions we may see this afternoon. We're going to send it right over to Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson for what you need to know. Hutch.
Thanks so much, Stacey. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And as we take a look outside, we have sunny skies in most areas, just a few cumulus clouds drifting through the skies in the Grand Forks area. Now, first and foremost, we want to get right out and say it's going to be hot in all locations, and there's not going to be widespread thunderstorms tonight, but the ones that do form because of the heat and humidity in place and because there is some spin in the atmosphere will bring the danger for some threatening weather. So again, check those back seats for pets and kids out there in the heat of the day, and we'll be watching for storms to develop. Look at the 92-degree weather in Grand Forks and Jamestown, 98 sizzling degrees right now. Going to head over to the big wall and take a look at this radar as we see a few showers of thunderstorms. Not the main event, moving through Lake of the Woods now, exiting the War Road area, and just now pushing through Grigla and heading toward the upper Red Lake. And this cell is moving about 35 miles per hour. Could have some small soft hail in it, but it's not severe. And a lot of lightning and some locally heavy rain with this cell. That'll be pushing through basically toward the upper Red Lake by 4:43. All right, the main event is expected to fire in the area of yellow here. Any storms that form in the area of yellow or even out to the east in the orange have a risk of an isolated tornado, greater than 2-inch diameter hail, and 70-mile-per-hour or greater gusts of wind for a few of these cells. I'll have details in your hour-by-hour planner on the track and timing on this first alert weather day, but for this evening, the heat continues in your planner, Stacey, as we head through the evening. Thunderstorm chances will take place between now and about midnight. After that, it looks quieter. I'll spell it all out here in just a couple of moments.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. The drought conditions continue to impact farmers in several ways, including the amount of produce you may see at your local farmers market. Planters are having to use a lot more water, money, and time to keep crops up to par. At the St. Paul Farmers Market, one woman says because their sweet corn is smaller than normal, they've had to increase the amount of cobs given to customers.
That's hurt a little bit, but it's what we have to do to be fair to the people. But the corn is very good.
Is this the year I fall flat on my face because the weather just is not going to cooperate?
Some farmers say they've had to raise their prices at the farmers market because of the drought conditions. At the same time, there's another obstacle for farmers: grasshoppers. A new report from NDSU says grasshopper populations are on the rise in North Dakota, showing 60% of fields are infested. That's up from nearly 30% just 4 years ago. The report shows the pests typically eat the most in August. New developments for you now on a murder case from over the weekend. Fargo police say the man who died in that shooting is 41-year-old Eric Hayes. We'll hear from his fiancee tonight at 6. Around 11 Saturday night, police responded to the 1200 block of North University Drive for a shots fired call. Police say that's where they found this man, 40-year-old Raymond Gunn, who was eventually arrested for murder. Still no word on what led up to the shooting. Stick with Valley News Live for the latest. New for you now at 4. A woman from Jamestown is facing several charges after Highway Patrol says she assaulted a trooper near Tower City this morning. State Patrol says they took a report of a vehicle driving recklessly on I-94. Troopers eventually spotted the vehicle, but when they did, they found the driver, later identified as 35-year-old Amanda Levy, passed out inside. Troopers say they were able to wake her up, but that Levy refused to get out of the car. Troopers say Levy resisted arrest and was able to put the vehicle in reverse, ultimately dragging the trooper. The trooper was able to put the vehicle in park and help out with the 2 Good Samaritans. Levy was taken into custody. It was later determined that the vehicle Levy was driving was also stolen out of Clay County in early July. 4 pets are dead and a townhouse was seriously damaged after a fire in Moorhead late last night. Crews from surrounding cities were called in to help knock down the fire in a neighborhood off Belsley Boulevard just south of I-94. The fire department tells us no one was hurt, but the fire caused about $70,000 in damages. The Red Cross and Salvation Army were called out to help those who were displaced. No word yet on what started the fire, but firefighters had an arson dog check out the scene. While our crew was at that fire, another one broke out just a block down the street, this time in a dumpster. Firefighters were able to quickly put it out. A propane tank was pulled from the dumpster, but fire officials haven't said what started the fire or whether it's related to the house fire. An evacuation order is now lifted for people in Big Stone County. Firefighters are still on the scene in the town of Clinton, and they'll be there much of the day today. They got a call yesterday morning about smoke coming from an upper grain tower Soon after they got there, the tower was engulfed in flames. Police evacuated a 3-block area around the elevator for much of the day. Fire crews from several surrounding towns were called in to help. Some pumped water from a nearby lake to help, and others hauled water in tanker trucks. Minnesota health officials reported 424 more cases of COVID-19 and 3 additional deaths today as the Delta variant continues to spread in the state. Officials say the variant is accounting for almost 75% of those new cases. Coming up tonight on Valley News Live at 10, we dig into where the state of North Dakota stands when it comes to cases of the Delta variant. As COVID infection rates surge in every state, some communities are starting to reimpose restrictions. California announced today that it will require state workers to show proof of vaccination or get tested weekly. David Bagnell reports from Mississippi, the state with the lowest vaccination rate in the country.
As the Delta variant of the coronavirus continues to spread, the city and county of St. Louis has become the latest community to reinstate an indoor mask mandate.
Wear a mask to protect those around you and to stop the spread.
New projections show that COVID-19 cases will likely continue to rise nationwide over the next few months. Daily deaths could more than triple from their current levels, rising to about 850 a day.
Unvaccinated individuals account for virtually all of the hospitalizations and deaths in the United States.
New York City has announced that nearly all municipal workers will be required to get vaccinated by September, or else they must be tested weekly.
This is about what we need to do to bring back New York City. This is about keeping people safe.
In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the largest hospital in the state has stopped scheduling non-emergency surgeries because of the surge in cases.
Well, I want to tell everybody, please take the shot.
We spoke with COVID patients in Jackson, Mississippi, including 38-year-old Edward Clifton, who is unvaccinated, and the wife of 52-year-old William Ball. He got sick with COVID 9 days after he had a heart attack, and he is also not vaccinated.
He will get the vaccine when he gets out of the hospital.
When he said, I want that vaccine, tell me what you're thinking.
He's got to get out of the hospital first.
%87 of the people hospitalized for COVID here in the state of Mississippi are not vaccinated. And when you look at the data nationally, that number jumps to 97% of the people in the hospitals have not been fully vaccinated. David Bagnell, CBS News, Jackson, Mississippi.
President Biden announced today that long-term symptoms of COVID-19 could be considered a disability under federal civil rights laws, and his administration will work to make sure so-called long haulers have access to accommodations and services required by law. A Biden administration official is also confirming that the U.S. will maintain existing foreign travel restrictions. The decision, the official says, is guided by the science and public health. They also note the CDC just advised Americans against travel to the U.K. a week ago, given the surge of cases there. All international flights have resumed in Mexico, and most resorts and beaches are open in tourist destinations like Cancun. Last week, Canada announced it would reopen its border to vaccinated citizens from the U.S. beginning August 9th. More than 80 wildfires are now burning in the western U.S. Coming up, we'll show you the fight to get them contained.
It's your first alert to a risk of severe weather as we head into the evening hours. The hazards include all modes, we call it, of severe weather, from some flooding, localized, damaging gusts over 70 miles per hour, hail, and even isolated tornadoes possible. Your hour-by-hour forecast will be examined next. We'll talk about who has the best chance, and we'll talk about the rest of the work week ahead right after this.